This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
On April 5th,
you must be very careful, Margaret. It's the girl.
Witness the birth.
Bad things will start to happen. Evil things.
Of evil.
It's all for you. No, don't.
The first omen.
I believe the girl is to be the mother.
Mother of what?
Is the most terrifying.
666 is the mark of the devil.
Movie of the year.
It's not real. It's not real. What's not real? Who said that?
The first omen. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent. Only in theaters April 5th. Get tickets now.
Hey there, it's Beth.
And Wendy of Fruitloops Serial Killers of Color, and we want to tell you about a true crime goodie called The Burden.
The Burden is a new investigative true crime podcast from Orbit Media.
It's one of the year's most anticipated true crime podcast releases, following Orbit's #1 hit, Empire on Blood.
The show tells the story of Detective Louis Scarcella, once celebrated for his prowess in solving tough cases in 1990s New York City.
But wait, Scarcella becomes embroiled in controversy as a group of convicted murderers who all claim to be innocent turned jailhouse lawyers uncover his involvement in dozens of cases, leading to the release of over 20 individuals he helped convict.
Wow.
But can they get themselves out too?
The government has paid out a record-breaking $150 million in wrongful conviction settlements, with more to come. Wow, that's crazy.
That's a lot. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The Burden launches on March 19th on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Dax, this is the first story I ever heard Louis Scarcella tell.
The legendary New York detective. Tell me more.
So Detective Scarcella is with his partner. It's lunchtime, and Detective Scarcella and his partner decide that this is the moment to track down a murder suspect.
We park right here. Right here. Lo and behold, a man, 6 foot, 300 pounds, comes out of the house. I said, that's him. I run over to him. I put the gun on him. He's got a Sig Sauer in his waistband. Oh, big Sig Sauer. I jump on him. He's going for the gun. I put my Glock to his head and pull the trigger. But the gun's no good. My gun's no good. I grab him and I knock him to the ground.
Do you ever imagine that clock goes off?
I intended it to. What am I supposed to kiss him?
Welcome to Louis' Brooklyn, where bad guys were around every corner. And it was up to Detective Scarcella to protect the people.
They needed me, and I loved doing it.
Louis' heyday was the 80s and 90s, and back then, all New Yorkers wanted law and order. Louis Scarcella had movie star good looks, smoked a cigar everywhere. He seemed like he was the kind of tough cop the city needed.
He was everybody's idea of the prince of the city. He was the guy who solved the hardest cases and made sure the worst killers were brought to justice.
Louis Scarcella was known as the closer, the one who got the confession. And with that came fame. He was on the Dr. Phil show.
No one knows the art of getting confessions better than 29-year veteran New York City homicide detectives.
And he earned the respect of his peers.
Louis is my guy. He's my man. You know, he's my friend. He's a hell of a cop. Great detective.
He looks like shit now with all this shit. Steve, the poor guy, they beat the balls off him. You know?
That's right. Years later, the Louis Scarcella story changed.
The once decorated detective now stands accused of coaching witnesses, coercing confessions, and trading drugs for testimony.
Scarcella cracked numerous murder cases in the 80s and 90s, but his techniques have been questioned.
A group of convicted murderers says it all comes back to one rogue official, and they want their names cleared.
Oh, yeah, I'm the devil, and disgraced devil. Yeah. Well, what could I tell you?
I'm Steve Fishman. I've lived in New York a long time. I've been writing about crime for a long time. Son of Sam, Bernie Madoff, they opened up to me. When I heard these headlines about Scarcella, my thought, this cannot be the whole story. Was this really about one rogue cop who hoodwinked an entire system?
And I'm Dax Devlin Ross, journalist, author, lawyer. I've written about criminal justice for years. I know what it's like to be wrongfully arrested, personally. And I'm interested in the people who went to jail and maybe shouldn't have.
We're gonna go deep. Is Louis a hero cop, a scapegoat, or a super villain who helped put away more than 20 innocent men? Men who now want revenge.
Storm cloud coming straight to you. You can't run for shelter. There's nothing you can do.
From Orbit Media, this is The Burden.
Today on the show, The Scoop.
All right, Steve, where do we begin?
We begin with the person who broke the Louis Scarcella story, long before you or I got involved. That's Frances Robles, known to her New York Times colleagues as Frenchie.
The Puerto Rican girl known as Frenchie. I do not speak French.
Frenchie's from Queens, from an Italian neighborhood called Howard Beach.
Howard Beach was a astoundingly racist place.
And growing up there, it taught Frenchie to be fierce.
My best friend in elementary school was Puerto Rican. And so this one kid was like, hey, Puerto Rican, where's your switchblade? And my girlfriend Genevieve and I, we went to his house in 6th grade. We rang the doorbell, and his mother answered the door. She was pregnant, and she had her belly out to wherever. Is Anthony home? And she's like, Anthony! So he comes, and he's, you can see he's kind of looking at us rather suspiciously, like, what are the two Puerto Rican girls that I bully in school doing at my door? And we beat the crap out of him right there in front of his mother.
Fast forward to 2013, and Frenchie is at the New York Times. She's itching for a good story, something that will make a splash. And one day, she's on a routine assignment when she meets someone interesting.
Was a guy named Derek Hamilton, who was an ex-con who had been kind of like a jailhouse lawyer. And so we're just chatting, and he says, oh, I know a lot of cases in Brooklyn of wrongful convictions.
So Frenchie brings it to her editor.
And I'm like, oh, I have a tip. There's a lot of wrongfully convicted guys in Brooklyn, and I have a good source. He was a jailhouse lawyer. And so my editor says to me, well, what else do the cases have in common? And I was so offended by that question. I just thought it was such a hoity-toity New York Times view of journalism that I couldn't just come up with a wrongful conviction. I had to come up with what connects them. Go back to my desk, kind of grumbling under my breath. And I call Derek, and I'm like, all right, well, this editor of mine wants to know what connects these cases. And he goes, well, a lot of them are the same cop. And his name is Louis Scarcella.
Derek Hamilton was out of prison, but still connected to people on the inside. He's a self-taught lawyer, learned the law behind bars. And he was still in the prison grapevine.
So I meet with Derek again. He told me kind of loosey-goosey stuff. Like he said, that this guy was notorious for using the same witness over and over again. But he didn't know the names of the defendants who had had the same witness testify against them. And he did not know the name of the witness. So I was like, oh, brother, here I am talking this up to my editor like I'm some hotshot who's going to crack this case open, and I got nothing.
So she went back to Derek. She needed the name of that very talented witness. And that's when Derek gives her a legal document. This was a document written by one of his friends still in jail, another jailhouse lawyer. It's called a 440 motion, and it's what you file if you're trying to get your conviction overturned.
So he gives me Shabaka Shakur's 440.
I probably rewrote that 100 times because I wanted to make sure that I was saying what I wanted to say.
This is Shabaka Shakur. Scarcella helped convict Shabaka of a double murder, which he says he didn't do. His 440 was impressive. 60 pages of legal argument, written while he was part of a prison law firm. That's right, a law firm formed in prison and run by convicted murderers, all of whom claimed innocence.
So I called her, and she was like, okay, you said Scarcella's a crooked cop. I read your brief. I said, listen, I gave her a list of names, a list of, people she could talk to, information that would substantiate that he was a crooked cop. And I remember telling her, like, you an investigative reporter. Go and investigate.
In that dense document, 2 pages focused on Louis Scarcella.
He says in this document, something, Louis Scarcella was known to use the same witness over and over again. A woman named Teresa Gomez. And I'm like, ching, that's it. That's the name. That's what I've been waiting for.
So Frenchie has the name. Now she does what a lot of us do when we're hunting for information. She Googles.
That's my big investigative reporting secret. And I got a hit, and I'm like, well, this is curious. It was like some random Google forum, a cigar smoker forum, where somebody has asked, I think the question on the forum was, when did you first smoke your first great cigar? This guy, a man, answers, the first cigar, which truly made me realize how much I was going to enjoy cigars, was smoked in 1988. The cigar was given to me by a legendary detective of the Brooklyn North Homicide Squad named Louis Scarcella. Louis had been the detective on the first 2 murder cases I prosecuted, both of which featured the same witness testifying against the same defendant for 2 different murders. The defendant was a dealer named Robert Hill. The witness was named Teresa Gomez, a woman who was even then ravaged from head to toe by the scourge of crack cocaine. It was near folly to even think that anyone would believe Gomez about anything, let alone the fact that she witnessed the same guy kill 2 different people. And the guy signs it, and he's now a judge.
She goes to prison, unannounced, to find Robert Hill. Frenchie is waiting in the visitor's room for Robert Hill.
So this guy comes in, he walks with a cane, and he's kind of hunched over, and he has very, very long dreadlocks all down his back. And I see him looking around the room, like, who the heck is that? But all right, fine. So he sits down, and I'll probably never forget this moment for the rest of my life. I said to him, my name is Francis Robles. I'm a reporter for the New York Times. I'm doing a story on Teresa Gomez. And he just froze, and his eyes welled up with tears. And he said, I've been telling people about Teresa Gomez for 25 years. And I said, well, Now somebody's listening. And he said to me, is this going to mess up my parole? And I remember I said something that, ethically I should not have said. And I probably shouldn't even repeat that I said. But I said it. I said, no, this isn't going to mess up your parole. I said, this is going to get you exonerated. And I said something so ridiculous because I believed it.
Frenchie's story breaks on May 11th, 2013. The headline, Review of 50 Brooklyn Murder Cases Ordered. The story lays it all out. How Teresa Gomez says she witnessed 6 separate murders. Who sees 6 murders? Shabaka's friend, Derek, the one who set all of this in motion, at first, he's pleased when he sees the article. But then, he gets angry. This is personal.
I say, damn, man, it's the same motherfucker that framed me.
You see, Scarcella was the cop who arrested Derek for murder. A murder he insists he didn't do.
You gotta understand something, man. This guy is a piece of shit. But he gets to run around like he's God. We gotta get at this guy.
We gotta attack Scarcella. If I did 1 nanogram of what they said I did, I would have killed myself.
Storm cloud coming straight to you. You can't run for shelter. There's nothing you can do. You gotta hold on tightly. Don't you dare let go. Gonna ride this bomb until we both explode.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
3 a.m., the comedy horror podcast that holds weekly gatherings around the campfire. Let me tell you what you're going to get. You're going to hear stories about demonic possessions, prison stabbings, skinwalkers, glitches in the Matrix, cult leaders, missing 411, night marchers, Operation Paperclip, Mesopotamian devil worship, and so many monsters it'll give Kanye West a runaway for his money. Pop and meme culture also aren't off topic. A camp where laughs and scares are constantly competing for first place. We're just a group of friends, trying to bust each other's balls, find the best stories, and expand the circle in the process. 3 a.m., the comedy horror podcast not for the faint or fragile of heart. Let's go.